Y'all go ahead.
John, CL Brown, News and Observer. What kind of improvements do you see Bryson Nesbitt making from last year?
Obviously when he came in here, he's probably, I think it goes hand in hand with having a basketball background. Most people think, well, he's going to be a receiving threat and he's going to learn how to block. And while there's some legitimacy to that, I think he was probably better, or I would say more willing to embrace that part of it last year than what you would have thought. But if you ask him, that would be the thing he would say first and foremost. I think the biggest thing is, and this kind of is with him and with us as far as who the responsibility falls on, but I think it's figuring out what all can we do with him, what can he handle, whether it's as a blocker, whether it's as a receiver, whether it's where you line up and those kind of things. But so I think it's for all of us figuring out what all can he do, what positions can we put him in and what can he do in those positions.
John, with the Greg Barnes is Zachariah, with the tight end position evolving the way that it has over the last 10 or 15 years, do you have like one mold of a tight end that you like to have, or do you like the idea of having guys that are maybe more attached, strictly blockers, versus a guy like guys that can do pretty much anything?
Sure. Well, you can look at our room and you got everybody from Kamari, he's going to tell you he's 6'3" or what he's 6'1.5" or whatever he really is, up to Bryson that's probably 6'5" or whatever, and then it goes from probably 220 something ish to 255. So I don't really have one in terms of that, but I know when you look at the makeup of it, there are certain skill sets they have to have, and so it does somewhat. I know this sounds overly simple. There's a part of it to me that starts with can they catch the football. Obviously, they got to be a certain size to be able to do what they have to do, but can they catch it? Because you can get better at that, but I do think that's something you've got to have a little bit of natural ability at, or already have developed some of it. And then there's so many things you have to be able to do, because you got to be able to block like the tackles, you got to be able to run around and catch the ball like the wide receivers, but you don't get as much time to work on either one of those things as those groups do. So then it's really, if you ask me, what do you really want? A guy that can catch it, a guy that can get open, whether it's by his length or his athletic ability. If he's got all that, then that's a bonus. And then a guy that cares enough to win in the run game. Because particularly in our offense, we don't have a million running plays. There are those, against certain guys, you got to bow up on the one-back power or whatever, and that's really where you got to go be a man. A lot of the other stuff is just, can I get my hat, my body, whatever, between the ball carrier and the defender, and do I care enough to do it?
Coach, Evan Rogers, with the departure of Paulson, who do you see in your locker room kind of step up and lead that kind of position? Morales or one of the other guys?
It's a great room right now, because I think they're all extremely competitive, but they all pull for each other and they help each other. It's really unique when you go work out on the field with them, and somebody will take a rep and they'll finish, and you may give them a coaching point or whatever, and then they go to the back and they're coaching the next guy or coaching somebody that's in the back of the line or whatever, and I'll hear them, and that's really where you want it to be as a coach, is where the guys kind of know what the feedback's going to be. I've joked with them before, like I say, one of these mornings coming in, I could run off the side of the road or whatever. You ought to still be able to go through practice and meetings without me. You ought to know what I'm going to say or what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and those kind of things. So to answer the question, I really think all of them have a chance to step up. A guy that really took a positive step really in the last year and a half is John Copenhaver, that doesn't get talked about very much, but I think he would be the natural guy, because obviously Kamari and Bryson played more last year than he did, and then with Garrett gone, then John probably gets a little bit more, but I thought he had an outstanding spring and played some in the bowl game even for us. That was one, I don't know how many bright things came out of the bowl game, but one bright thing to me is we played all 4 tight ends in that game, and we scored at one point or another when each guy was in the game. So it wasn't like there was a drop-off there where it's like, we can't move the ball if this guy's in there. So I look for big things out of him, and then everybody's forgotten about Kendall Carr because he's been hurt a lot since he's been here. And I think he'll be ready to go for training camp. He's on track to be right now, so hopefully then he can be another guy that gets in that mix, and obviously Kamari Bryce.
Going back to Bryson, could you expand a little bit more on his blocking, especially tight situation blocking, being able to be a guy that could be out there for all downs?
Sure. You know, I think the biggest thing, and I alluded to it on the first answer, but is that he was extremely willing last year. There was he didn't shy away from anything. There's a great toughness aspect to how he practiced. Obviously his body type's a little different than the other guys, both his length and then the weight that he's got with that. But I think for him, it's going to be a matter of can I bend, can I bend low enough, can I finish once I get in the fit and those kind of things. That's more it than anything else. Blocking is so much technique and want to. I mean, everybody would say that came up here, but it really does come back to that. And he wants to. Now can he get the technique down to do it and then be physical enough or big enough, have enough size to do it against everybody week in and week out.
John, just to follow up again on Bryson, you mentioned you guys trying to figure out what are the best spots to put him in, how to best use him. What's his comfort level working in line versus out wide? And does the depth you have behind him maybe afford you more opportunities to split him out than you would otherwise if the room wasn't as complete?
Sure. I think he's embraced every part of it. I don't think there's one place that he's like, I really like being here or there or whatever. I think he wants to be a complete player. When you talk about how the game's changed, and that's really, you know, the thing about the tight end position is it's a player's game, so you're always trying to create mismatches, however that is, you know, and get whoever your mismatch guys are on their guys, and whether that be a size mismatch and an athletic mismatch or whatever. So if there are places we can put him or any other player for that matter, they'll be comfortable in those spots because they know they got a chance to win.
You guys good with Coach Lilly? All right, we'll bring in Pat Suttis for our last one of the